I spent years of my life being basically a well-dressed zombie. I'd wake up, grab my phone, 40 minutes of scrolling before I even got out of bed. I'd have breakfast without tasting the food. I'd drive to work, and by the time I noticed, I'd already arrived, without remembering a single part of the drive. And if someone asked, "How are you?" I'd answer, "Great," on autopilot. But the truth, deep down, I didn't even know if I was okay or not. I simply wasn't there. More than 1,000 days like that. Same rhythm, same absence, day after day, like a cassette tape playing the same section over and over. I wasn't driving my own life. I was in the back seat, watching the scenery go by through the window. You know when you're at a family gathering, everyone talking, laughing, and suddenly someone asks, "Are you okay?" Because they noticed you'd checked out, staring at nothing with your phone in your hand? That happened to me so many times I lost count. And the worst part? I didn't even remember what had just happened in the conversation. Your brain alone burns almost 20% of your body's total energy, more than any other organ. To save that energy, it does what any smart system would do. It creates shortcuts. Think of it this way. Your brain has two modes of operation. The automatic mode, fast, instinctive, low energy, the one that lets you brush your teeth, drive a familiar route, pick up your phone without thinking. And the conscious mode, slower, effortful, the one you use when solving a new problem or making a hard decision. Neuroscientist Daniel Kahneman won the Nobel Prize proving this difference. And here's the problem. We live 95% of the time in automatic mode. A 2010 Harvard study measured this directly. On average, we spend 47% of our waking time with our mind wandering, replaying the past or worrying about the future, instead of being in the present. And the most important finding in that study wasn't even that. It was this. Present people are happier, regardless of the activity. You could be washing dishes, fully present, and be happier than someone lying on a beach chair at a 5-star resort, mind racing, stuck ruminating over a work email. Ever notice how a kid can turn anything into a game? A cardboard box becomes a spaceship, and stay there for hours, completely happy? She doesn't know she has no money, doesn't know there's a test tomorrow. She's just there. We're born knowing how to be present. It's something we unlearn. Let me give you some very practical, everyday signs, so you can test this right now while you listen. First sign, you arrive places and don't remember the way there. You drove to work and have no idea how you got there. That's not just being a little distracted. It's your prefrontal cortex, the conscious, decision-making part of your brain, shutting off, while another region, the basal ganglia, the same area affected in Parkinson's, takes the wheel instead. And here's where the danger lies. When that region takes over too much, you tend to reach for hyperdopaminergic activities, to numb yourself. In other words, at the very first gap, your hand is already in your pocket, on your phone, before you've even decided to pick it up. It's the same reason many people develop a pornography habit without even noticing how it started. It's not really about seeking pleasure, it's about escaping the present. It's avoiding silence, avoiding feeling whatever is happening in that exact minute. Neuroscience has a name for this: chunking. Your brain groups entire sequences of action into a single automatic command, like a keyboard shortcut you hit without thinking about each key. Second sign, you pick up your phone for no reason at all. No notification, nothing specific to check. Your hand just goes to it on its own. That's pure dopamine. Every time you check your phone, it releases a microdose. Over time, your brain needs more and more checks to feel the same tiny hit of pleasure. It's identical to a casino. You're not there for the prize, you're chasing the next spin. Mechanically, it's the same circuit as cocaine, just still socially accepted. I'd bet that a few years from now, we'll look at endless social media scrolling the same way we look at cigarettes today. Try this right now. Put your phone far away, in another room, for an hour. Notice how many times your hand drifts toward where it normally sits. The body remembers before the mind decides. Third sign, you can't stand being alone with your own thoughts. This one's the most subtle of all. You always need some kind of stimulus, music, a podcast, a video playing in the background, just to avoid facing silence. There's an experiment from the University of Virginia that's almost darkly funny. People preferred to give themselves electric shocks over sitting 15 minutes alone, with nothing. just their own thoughts. And here's an important note. If you're a very anxious person, prone to panic attacks, unguided meditation can genuinely be contraindicated at first. Because once you finally turn down the volume on external stimulation, you run straight into thoughts that have been piling up for years. And that can be pretty intense. That's not a reason to avoid it. It's a reason to go carefully, with guidance if you need it. Fourth sign, the feeling that time is speeding up. When you were a kid, a summer felt like it lasted forever. Now, December turns into January in the blink of an eye. There's an explanation for this. When you live on autopilot, your brain doesn't form new memories, because memory requires presence. Without new memories, time feels compressed, shrunk down. That's why a week-long trip to somewhere new can feel like it lasted a whole month. Every corner is new, every smell is new, your brain is recording constantly, and along with that comes a higher baseline of serotonin, the well-being chemical that tends to run low in anxiety and depression. Ask yourself, what did you do on the Tuesday before last? If you drew a blank, that's a sign. Not because it was a bad day, but because it never actually became a memory. Fifth sign, the definitive one. You feel like you're watching your own life, instead of living it. It's as if there's a screen between you and your experience. Psychologists call this depersonalization or derealization. You're technically present, but emotionally absent. Researcher Ellen Langer studied this for decades and found something striking. People who live on autopilot report happiness levels 23% lower. And it doesn't stop there. Creativity drops 40%. Real productivity drops 35%. And the ability to form long-term memories drops by half. The present, which is basically the one thing life actually gives us, keeps slipping through our fingers. And there really is a war going on for your attention. Land, real estate, the stock market, all of it has already been claimed. Your attention is the last territory that hasn't been fully taken, and that's exactly why it's being fought over so hard. Now for the part nobody wants to hear. The real price of living on autopilot. First price, actual brain atrophy. A 2018 study showed that constantly living in automatic mode, ruminating, without presence, reduces gray matter in the hippocampus, the region responsible for memory and learning. This happens because rumination is linked to chronic cortisol release, the stress hormone, which gradually erodes structures in your brain and your immune system, including the cleanup your brain does on itself during sleep. The practical result? 40-year-olds walking around with the hippocampus of a 60-year-old. Second price, a quiet emotional numbing. When you're not present, your emotions lose their color. Joy becomes, yeah, that's nice. Sadness becomes a chronic, shapeless emptiness. Love becomes a habit. You slowly lose the ability to feel things deeply. Psychiatrist Irvin Yalom has a phrase that sums this up better than I could. It's a kind of death before death. Third price, your relationships. Not dramatically, quietly. Your partner talks and you respond on autopilot. Your kid shows you a drawing and you say, "That's beautiful," without even looking up from your phone. And the worst part, you don't even realize you're doing it. Slowly, the people around you notice you're not really there, and they stop trying to reach you. A friend of mine only realized this when his 6-year-old said, "Dad, can you look at me while I'm talking?" A kid's sentence, but it carries the full weight of the problem. Fourth price, the regret at the end of the line. Researcher Bronnie Ware interviewed hundreds of people on their deathbeds. The number one regret, by far, was, "I wish I'd had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me." And the reason this regret is so common is simple. When you live on autopilot, you don't choose. You follow a script that someone else, culture, family, the algorithm, wrote for you. A Cornell study, tracking 5,000 people over 30 years, found that 76% regretted the things they didn't do more than the things they did. And the real tragedy isn't even that. It's that most of these people never noticed, in the moment, that they were choosing not to act. They were so deep in autopilot that the opportunity passed like a train they never even saw stop at the station. Do the math with me. You have roughly 700,000 hours of life. That sounds like a lot, but if you spend 95% of it on autopilot, you'll have actually, consciously lived only 35,000 of those hours. That's less than 4 years out of an 80-year life. 80 years shrunk down to 4. It took time. It took study, trial and error. But today, 3 years later, I live a completely different life, and I didn't change jobs, didn't move cities, didn't become a monk in Tibet. I changed something much deeper, much more internal. The first thing I changed: radical monotasking. Neuroscientist Adam Gazzaley proved, in 2016, that the human brain genuinely cannot multitask. What we call multitasking is actually task switching, rapidly bouncing between tasks, and every switch charges a cognitive toll. It's like having 10 browser tabs open, all running at once. Your computer freezes, so does your brain. The solution? For 25 minutes, just one thing. No phone, no second screen, no background music. Want to read that book that's been gathering dust on the shelf? You don't need to feel like it. Just sit down and read for 25 minutes. Most of the time, starting is the hard part. After 25 minutes, the momentum to keep going builds on its own. This works for anything. Cooking without your phone nearby, working out without waiting for the next story to drop, showering without mentally drafting an email reply. Pick one activity a day to do completely, without any parallel stimulation. The interesting thing is that this technique, named the Pomodoro technique in the 80s by Francesco Cirillo, was only validated by neuroscience decades later. And here's the plot twist. It's not the focus that matters most, it's the break. It's during the break that your brain enters what's called the default mode network. That's when connections actually form, when the aha moment shows up. If you spend that break ruminating or procrastinating, that same network still activates, just in rumination mode instead. That's why working out, doing something physically demanding between focus sessions, helps so much. You occupy that network with positive processing, instead of leaving it free to spiral. The second thing, presence hurts, and that's okay. Nobody tells you this. When you step out of autopilot, everything you'd been numbing comes rushing back. The anxiety you were scrolling away, the sadness you were overworking to avoid feeling, the emptiness you were filling with show after show. Gabor Mate, a physician specializing in trauma, puts it well. We're not addicted to substances or behaviors. We're addicted to escaping pain. Autopilot is exactly that. The most socially accepted drug, always available, seemingly harmless. The way out isn't to run from that pain again. It's to move through it. Rumi, the Sufi poet, said the wound is where the light enters. Does it hurt? It really does. But it's necessary. Third thing, the meditation nobody explains properly. Forget the idea of an hour-long session, sitting cross-legged like a monk. Jon Kabat-Zinn, creator of MBSR, mindfulness-based stress reduction, proved that 12 minutes a day is enough to change your brain's structure. And the real secret isn't emptying your mind. That's nearly impossible and frustrates everyone who tries. The secret is noticing when your mind wanders. That act of noticing is the entire practice. It's called metacognitive friction. The exact moment you catch yourself thinking, "Oh, I drifted off," you've already switched on the observer mode. The technique is called noting. A thought arises, you name it, thinking. An emotion arises, feeling. That simple. Every time you do this, you strengthen your prefrontal cortex, the conscious mode, and weaken your amygdala, the fear and anxiety region. It's like weightlifting for your awareness. One tool I use and recommend a lot, talking to myself in the third person whenever I catch myself about to procrastinate. Something like, "Hey, hold on, why are you opening that app right now? What are you actually looking for here?" It sounds silly, but it creates distance. Suddenly you're no longer the autopilot, you're the one watching the autopilot act. I also started doing what I call raw reality meditation. 5 minutes a day, no mantra, no pretty app, sometimes with a blindfold to remove visual input and heighten awareness of what's happening inside you. Just you and whatever you're feeling. The first few weeks, it's almost unbearable. After a month, it's freeing. Fourth thing, reframing discipline. If you had a rough relationship with discipline as a kid, if you were disciplined punitively, forced to do things without understanding why, chances are that today, when you try to be disciplined, what you actually feel isn't discipline, it's torture. Your brain reactivates old emotional memories of meaningless obligation and procrastinates as a defense. Richard Davidson showed, in a 2012 study on neuroplasticity, that it's possible to relearn that association, linking effort to pleasure instead of punishment, when a difficult experience is followed by a conscious positive emotion. In practice, That means every time you finish something that took discipline, even something small, pause for a few seconds, close your eyes, take a deep breath, and actually feel that sense of having followed through. That small ritual creates a new emotional marker. With repetition, your brain starts anticipating pleasure at the sight of effort, instead of anticipating pain. Fifth thing, connecting knowledge instead of boxing it in. We were taught to split knowledge into separate compartments, art over here, science over there, philosophy in another corner, as if none of it had anything to do with the rest. But look at history's biggest names. Da Vinci mixed painting, anatomy, and engineering, as if they were all the same language. Einstein said many of his ideas came to him while playing the violin, not while writing equations. Ada Lovelace called her own way of thinking poetical science. Neuroscience backs this up. When the logical hemisphere talks to the creative hemisphere, the flow of ideas becomes smoother. It's what's called the play state, a state of curiosity and play that releases internal opioids and lowers excessive self-criticism. That's where what some people call flow state, or creative superintelligence, lives. Next time you get stuck on a problem at work, try approaching it differently. Sketch it out. Explain it out loud to someone. Look for an analogy in a completely unrelated field. Cooking, soccer, music. Often the breakthrough comes from outside the box, not from digging deeper inside it. Sixth thing, micro-presence through your eyes. Andrew Huberman, a Stanford neuroscientist, showed that your visual system directly controls your state of alertness. Fixing your gaze on a single point for 30 to 60 seconds activates a brain region tied to attention, releases norepinephrine, and sharpens focus. It's what basketball players do before a big shot, staring fixed at one point, almost in a trance. On the other hand, when you soften your gaze, looking out at the horizon, letting things blur, you activate your parasympathetic system, the calm mode. I started using this on purpose. Before starting something important, 60 seconds of intense focus on a single point. Then, when I want to relax, 60 seconds of wide, panoramic vision, looking far away. It's like hitting reset on your mental operating system. Seventh thing, voluntary embarrassment. Letting the ego die a little. Robin Carhart Harris, at Imperial College London, studied what happens in the brain during experiences that dissolve our sense of self, and found that the same network responsible for our sense of identity temporarily quiets down, opening up space for a much broader state of neural connection.
And to the countless
You don't need anything
we
extreme
share.
to tap into this. Flow states, deep meditation, intense physical exercise already create similar states. But I found something far more accessible. Once a week, I do something my ego hates. Dance alone in front of people. Sing in the car with the window down. Admit I don't know something. Ask for help. A 2017 study found that people who regularly allow themselves to feel embarrassed report more creativity, more emotional resilience, and less social anxiety, simply because they stop spending energy maintaining an image. Eighth thing, reverse replay before bed. Alan Watts talked about this back in the 60s, and neuroscience confirmed it decades later. The brain doesn't clearly distinguish a vividly relived memory from an actual real-time experience. The same circuits fire either way. So every night, before falling asleep, I replay my day backwards. Not just recalling it, actually reliving it frame by frame. From the moment I lie down, all the way back to the moment I woke up. And here's the trick. I pay special attention to the moments I know I was on autopilot, and I mentally relive that exact moment, but fully present this time. This does two things. It consolidates the day's memory, so it stops becoming a blur, and it trains your brain to recognize, the next day, when you're slipping into autopilot, similar to how people who train themselves to remember dreams end up becoming more aware inside the dream itself. It didn't happen all at once. The first month was a war. My brain kept begging to go back to the comfort of autopilot. I'd end the day exhausted, like I'd run a marathon just from being present for a few hours. By the second month, something started to shift. Colors felt more vivid. Conversations went deeper. Breakfast started tasting like something again, not just routine. By the third month, presence became the new normal. Not 100% of the time. That's impossible. And honestly, not even desirable. But now, when I slip into autopilot, I notice it. And, most of the time, I choose to come back. time didn't start moving slower. It just became
The
denser,
sword is not
richer.
for war,
One present day is
but
worth
for
more than a
cutting
whole week on
illusions.
autopilot. It's like I hacked time itself, living more without needing more time. Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor, wrote something I carry with me. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. And in that space lies our power to choose. It's our response to that space that shapes our growth and our freedom. That space only exists when you're aware that you are not your thoughts. You're the one watching them go by. On autopilot, that space disappears. You become pure reaction. So the question that remains, simple but not easy, is this: how much of your life do you actually want to live? Because, in the end, everyone ends up in the same place. That's certain. What's not certain is whether we'll have actually lived before that happens. Autopilot is seductive. It's comfortable. It's easy. But comfort isn't life. It's death on an installment plan. You can close this out and let it become just another piece of content you consume and forget by the end of the day. Or you can make a different choice right now, to feel, to be present, to choose to live. The choice has always been yours. The question that remains is, are you going to make that choice, or are you going to let the algorithm make it for you?